So, neue Folge Vampyr. Vampyr, keine Ahnung. So, Dogo, hi, Schnucki. Wie geht's dir? Ich hoffe, ich habe dich heute nicht zu sehr gemobbt. Ich habe Togo heute fast nur getötet. Es tut mir aber leid. Genau, wir wollten mal gucken, wo die kurze sein soll. Also die soll ja irgendwo hier sein, aber wir haben sie ja nicht gefunden. Oder es muss hier irgendwo einen Weg reingeben. Und wir müssen, glaube ich, noch ein paar Bürger heilen und ein paar Nebenmissionen machen. Oh, Jo, wo kommst du denn gewesen hier? Ah, es lief ja doch ansonsten ja relativ gut. Also selbst auf also ich denke mal, extrem ist machbar. Wir brauchen nur unsere Zeit, bis wir uns da eingespielt haben. Ich denke, das kriegen wir hin. Das wird aber sehr lange dauern, denke ich. Aber ansonsten dürften wir das hinkriegen. Aber hat wieder Spaß gemacht heute. Aber wir werden ja so nächste Woche mit Back 4 Blood anfangen. Der jetzt da mitspielen wollte, war heute nicht da. Also entweder hat er es vergessen oder er hat nicht mehr dran gedacht. Oder sonst irgendwas. Ich möchte jetzt nicht unbedingt irgendwas Großartiges dazu hinzufügen. Ja. Boah, 27, Alter, das sind 4 Level Unterschied. Ich habe einen 30er schon getötet, also bin da relativ entspannt, was das betrifft. Ja genau, wir müssen ja noch mal gucken, wen haben wir denn jetzt überhaupt? Wer war denn jetzt hier noch krank? Typ hat schon wieder eine Erkältung. Den habe ich nicht gefunden. Den haben wir noch mit einer Erkältung. Ansonsten sind jetzt nur 2 Leute. Ach, das lohnt sich jetzt nicht großartig. Ach guck mal, jetzt kann ich auch in dem Bezirk durchgehen. Sehr schön. Aber extrem ist schon sehr hart, aber ich denke, dass wir das hinkriegen. Bin mal gespannt auf Back 4 Blood nächste Woche. Wie wir uns da schlagen werden. Ich muss den Streamplan für nächste Woche auch noch machen. Ich weiß nicht, wie viel wir jetzt noch haben in Vampyr. Weil ich würde da jetzt ganz gerne nämlich dranbleiben. Und das durchspielen. Also das Spiel machen, soweit es geht. Und dann mal gucken. Ich muss wieder zurücklaufen. Da will ich auch nicht runterkommen. Ich denke mal, mit 4 Leuten ist das so. Das hast du ja gesehen. Wo wir zu dritt waren und Alex nicht da war, wo wir den Polar dabei hatten. Selbst mit 3 Leuten, wenn du so warte KI dabei hast, vergiss es. Dann hast du keine Chance mehr, überhaupt irgendwas zu reißen. Weil dann reißt du ja mal gar nichts mehr. Wenn wir das dann öfter spielen, dann überlege ich auch, ob ich den Game Pass dann monatlich dann lasse erstmal. Das überlege ich mir dann auch noch. Aber das gucken wir dann mal, wenn es soweit ist. Ansonsten, wir haben es jetzt 2-mal durchgespielt und ich bin schon wieder gestorben am Ende. Schon die 2. Karte, die ich nicht hingekriegt habe. Ja, deswegen, ja, wir gucken mal. Oh, so. Wir gucken dann mal, wie das dann wird. Und wenn es halt keinen Spaß macht, dann lassen wir es. So, jetzt machen wir erstmal die Hauptquest weiter.
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed. Please proceed. Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs.
Bin mir nicht so sicher, ob das so eine gute Idee ist, wenn ich hier versuche, was mitzunehmen, aber wir machen es einfach mal. Ich glaube, hier kommen wir nicht rein.
I'm sure the Ascalon Club has the money to replace the furniture.
Ich glaube nicht, dass das nur des Geldes wegen ist hier mit dem Club. Aber schicke Rüstung, muss man schon lassen. Also es ist echt gut gemacht hier, ne? Also die Deko. Da sind viele Sachen, wo ich sagen würde, boah, die würde ich mir auch in die Wohnung stellen. Aber dafür ist die Wohnung einfach zu klein. Und die hier in dem Spiel ist mir zu groß. Schöne Bilder vor allem dabei. Müssen wir sehr lange gebraucht haben, bis wir das fertig gemacht haben. Was haben wir denn hier? Ein guter Dolch. Wir gucken mal ins Inventar. Ein solides kleines Messer, aber das vor allem benutzt wird, um den Widersacher zu stechen und ihn so aufzuschlitzen. Blutaufnahme. Oh, Blutaufnahme. Blutaufnahme. Das ist doch schon mal genau das, was ich ganz gerne mitnehmen würde. Was habe ich denn da noch in der Hand? Warte. Keule will ich nicht. Die Keulen, die machen mir keinen Spaß. So. Ja, wie gesagt, so, wir gucken da mal wegen dem Spiel. Wir wollten ja auch noch Resident Evil spielen. Wir sind bisher auch noch nicht zugekommen. Sonst müssen wir das mal machen, irgendwie vielleicht mal in der Woche, wenn wir Urlaub haben. Ne? Ich habe übrigens meinen Urlaub genehmigt gekriegt. Ich musste dir noch schicken. Wann ich Urlaub habe. Dann können wir mal gucken. Dann können wir vielleicht mal was machen. Ja, hat's auch. Gerade wenn du von der Nachtschicht kommst, dann ist das noch schlimmer. Oder von der Frühschicht in die Nachtschicht gehst. Oder Spätschicht in die Frühschicht. Also, die hat einfach zu wenig Tage. Also sagen wir mal so, wir haben halt zu wenig freie Tage, sagen wir mal so rum. In 2 Wochen im Oktober, okay. Ich guck gleich mal. Ich schicke dir nachher mal ein Bild von.
Good evening.
My good friends, if I may have your attention. Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reed. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Here, here, here.
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you. Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reed.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
Yes, she is. I may even say I admire her probity and her kindness. She has helped me since I was reborn.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is a mortal. Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of the Skull Plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Why do you suddenly need me?
The Ascalon Club only recruits the best, and you definitely fit the bill. Your scientific and medical reputation alone would qualify you as a candidate.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End. Is that it?
Ah, straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reed, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
No, I haven't.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reed. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, you are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club and to serve me as such.
Okay, ich muss ihm beitreten
Before I
anscheinend.
accept, I have so many questions.
Please ask.
What is the Ascalon Club's express purpose?
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
William Marshall founded the Ascalon Club.
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
What does Ascalon mean?
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious patron saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
What does it mean to be a member of the Ascalon Club?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the crown, that you become a loyal servant of the British Empire.
Am I supposed to follow orders?
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members, and I do appreciate obedience.
Do you have any official recognition from the government? A charter from His Majesty the King?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its members remains a secret.
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the Assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom are the backbone of this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Well, speak, Dr. Reed, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young Ekon, it is time to testify with your blood. It is time to sign the Book of Allegiance. I know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic, but England's traditions are the backbone of our nation. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
Irgendwie traue ich dem Braten nicht so, muss ich sagen.
That went well, did it not? It is always useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general, my lord.
I was, though very long ago, well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So why did you really want to meet me?
Straight to the point again, young Ekon. All right, let's talk, you and I, Lance Bearer.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite alarming.
Do you know Edgar Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal fetish and is a good friend of yours.
Does it bother you that I consider him my good friend?
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
You were spying on me.
Not personally. I rarely leave this building. But once he found you, Fergal kept me informed. Until you put an end to his mission.
Who was Fergal? I don't see him sipping tea with the others in the club.
Fergal Banshire was my squire of sorts. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No, he was a Volcod, all muscles and instinct. Quite the rare breed, ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
You do know I killed him.
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for his death?
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous. You earned my respect.
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied Scowls in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the Scowls.
I have met peaceful and wise Scowls. To exterminate them means we are no better than vampire hunters.
Scowls are hideous, shameful creatures that give all Ekon a bad name.
So, what do you want me to do?
I want you to investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member of the Ascalon Club and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find, and get results.
Oh, Punchstufe. Neue Bürger können getötet werden. Bin sofort wieder da. Sekunde.
Have you heard the rumors of some horned vampire revealing himself and singing obscure songs around the city? What is this new malevolence?
Skulls have been spotted everywhere in London. We are losing this fight.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. How does it feel to be this evening's centerpiece, figuratively?
It's quite unsettling. As a doctor, I am more used to being the observer than the subject observed.
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah, Vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
I would not dare speak of our chairman without his consent.
Are you not afraid? You are surrounded by vampires.
Sir, it's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret, shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reed, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked for membership?
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
Are you a member of the club?
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. And will be until the day I die.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one at that.
Are you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
Mr. Dawson, of Dawson and Dawson, the wealthiest man in England. It is a pleasure to meet such a prominent figure of London.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of some form of immortality?
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil that has us all on our knees.
What is the situation like in this part of town?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more effectively than I.
What is the situation?
I am sure...
What do you know about the Guard of Prewin?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reed.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods. But brute force will not be enough to fight this plague. We have to think differently.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What is your plan, then?
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
By doing so, you would create two separate ghettos. What if the disease gets past the wall? The results would be disastrous.
Not if we eliminate all suspected cases of infection as soon as they appear. A necessary sacrifice.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns? Decisiveness is what the city needs, and it needs it now.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed.
Mhm. Wollte aber leider nicht so viel mit ihm reden, weil wir gerade mitten im Fight waren.
Redgrave just suggested I was sired by an ancient vampire. Hello again, Venus.
Jonathan, you're still up. Can't you just knock at people's doors during the day?
I'm sure you can spare me a few minutes. For old time's sake.
Of course you may enter, Jonathan. Know that you are always welcome here. But at this hour of night?
Und sie ist ja auch noch wach und voll alle anderen sind auch nachts wach. Wir plündern hier erstmal alles. Ist das Brot, Alter? Wie groß ist denn das Brot?
At least you survived the Great War. I feared the worst.
Oh, hübsches Kleid. Ist da jetzt Wasser drin? Das sieht fast so aus, als wäre da Wasser drin.
It's locked, all right.
Ja, wie immer verschlossen. Man kann ja auch nicht weitergehen, ne? Ne.
No invitation is needed to enter this building. That can't be a good sign. Emily wanted to... No sign of a struggle. It seems Charlotte's friend knew the killer and let him in. Blood. I should follow the trail.
Geht nicht da runter. Hier hättest du getippt, dass es da runter geht. Überlebt er das? Wow. Ich ahne Böses.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
I'm the Marquis de Bois-Colombes, and I strongly invite you to find your own game, sir.
I'm not here to sustain myself. I'm currently investigating the death of a young woman killed by a vampire.
A young woman killed by a vampire? Oh, you're joking, right? Oh, I do love the British sense of humor.
And who exactly are you?
I am Jacques-Michel Guillaume Florimond de Marquis de Bois-Colombes, at your service, my dear cousin.
You're French, but your English is quite good.
I was born in France, sir, but I consider myself a traveler of this world. So many countries, so many tantalizing tastes.
Dear cousin, are we related?
We could be of the same blood, my dear. I tend to consider all Econs as family, don't you?
What are you doing here?
I recently decided to visit London. I've always dreamed of visiting a city on the verge of collapse. Such a delicate, yet intense spectacle.
What do you plan to do here?
Take pleasure. Take pictures. Enjoy the show. Have fun. Believe me, I won't be the only foreign immortal who bought a ticket to the fair.
You take pleasure from others' misery.
I have been a totally depraved and immoral creature since the day I was reborn, sir. And probably before.
I followed the trail of blood from her room to here.
Oh, you're referring to that young woman. Yes, the meeting turned messy. I'm afraid I ruined my last wedding good.
So you admit you murdered her?
I admit nothing, my good sir. I only regret the blood of that girl staining my clothes. Oh, blood can be so messy.
What happened?
She wanted to become one of us. Not the first time I have received such a proposal, but I must admit her direct approach tempted me.
And then what?
Her body rejected my blood. It happens, you know, sometimes even with voluntary prey. At least her gurglings brought me some fun, until the artery burst.
I believe you, sir. Emily's diary confirms your statement.
Oh, Emily was her name. Quite charming. Well, mystery solved then.
Yes, I suppose so. You can go.
And so can you. Farewell, sir. May you enjoy the spectacle of this fallen city as much as I do.
Eine Levelanzeige, nix. Oh, Dr. Swansea, neue Dialoge verfügbar. Sonst noch irgendwas? Nein, nur mit Dr. Swansea. Okay. Ich habe mich auch gerade schon gewundert, warum der Typ uns nicht attackiert. Und auch erklären, was gerade hinter der Mauer war. Wo ist die denn? Die müsste hier vorne, glaube ich, sein. Ach, jetzt kann ich natürlich nicht das Ding nehmen. Aber ich wollte eigentlich noch mal mit der kurzen sprechen, mit der Frau, wo wir gerade reingekommen sind. Ich muss nochmal zurückführen.
Hello, Venus.
Hello, Jonathan. Please come in.
Und sie checkt auch nicht, dass wir gerade da waren und plötzlich wieder weg sind?
They were so...
It's a pleasure to see you again, Venus.
So you returned from the war in one piece too. Thank God. My Clarence is back home too.
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras. Clarence has changed a lot since he returned from the war, you know.
Venus, why do you worry so much about your family's reputation?
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences for your sister.
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden. And I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
Why is my return so surprising?
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
The McPhersons. I heard they locked themselves in their own house.
They could just be afraid of getting sick.
Perhaps you're right. But if I were you, I'd pay them a visit. A big house, reachable through a courtyard, to the north of the railway bridge.
Goodbye for now.
Dann haben wir schon mal ein bisschen Infos bekommen. Das ist schon mal gar nicht so schlecht, aber ich glaube, wir brauchen ein bisschen mehr, um das Ganze ein wenig einzugrenzen. Was haben wir denn noch hier stehen?
We meet again, Mr. Kimura, in a more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed, still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
Breathing the cold night air helps calm my mind, sir. I've had the most frightening nightmares since I escaped that filthy jail.
May I ask you what you do for a living, Mr. Kimura?
I was a landlord. A wealthy one. And not a very kind one, I realized recently.
Why this sudden epiphany? Is it because of your near-death experience?
I was already feeling nostalgic about Weymouth, my hometown. With recent events, I'm thinking about going back there.
How is the situation in the West End?
I've heard rumors about armed men patrolling and fighting infected citizens in these very streets. I was lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days. My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
And why didn't he sacrifice you?
That was the weirdest part. He claimed to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were aligned.
Which stars?
That's the whole point. He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so much on making money, I almost forgot that my relatives and friends are threatened by this epidemic.
Have you no friends at all?
Over the years, I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary, while I became friends with my professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share your views on money and success.
Would you believe I was once a member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then. But I stopped laughing long ago.
Have you heard anything from your family?
I was not only a bad landlord, I was also a bad husband. I've not seen my wife and son for years. Busy, busy, busy.
At least now you're ready to go back and see them. But don't be surprised if your son bears a grudge, sir.
You make it sound like you suffered from an absent father yourself, Dr. Reed. Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Can you change? And is it what you really want? If so, it must come from within, not without.
I've seen what an altruistic gesture can do. Nothing forced you to save me, Dr. Reed, but you did. I will follow your example in these matters from now on.
There is no need to thank me. Rescuing a London citizen should not be out of the ordinary. Though I'm afraid it may appear so in these difficult times.
You did not only rescue me, you fought for me. You put your life in danger to save me. That's quite extraordinary.
How will you cope if you're attacked again?
I don't know. I've heard about these men and women who patrol the West End every night, chasing criminals like my abductor. Maybe I should join them.
Tell me, Tadao, why was your abductor so interested in your passion for astronomy?
I don't know. We met a few times at the Royal Greenwich Observatory. He seemed to share my hobby. Then he invited me to his house and locked me in.
Yes, astronomy is a fascinating subject. When I was a child, my mother bought a small telescope for my sister and I. We spent many a pleasant evening stargazing.
Stars are not just dots in the sky, Doctor. They are the key to our understanding of the cosmos. They remind us how insignificant we are.
You're right. But children love magic and stories. I remember our mother told us constellations have the power to protect us.
Protection by the light of the stars. That's sweet. You remember the name of these constellations?
Boah, keine Ahnung. Keine Ahnung.
Cygnus. The constellation that was supposed to protect Mary.
Memory's a strange thing.
Bis morgen, Togo.
I can recite without
Gute Nacht.
hesitation the names of the 88 constellations. Yet I barely remember my own childhood.
Did he fake his interest in astronomy to get close to you?
No. In his madness, he spoke about a blood sacrifice to be made to his master when the stars aligned to a specific configuration.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura. Take care.
It could be someone you know. Even someone you're close to.
Good evening, old chap. Are you all right?
I won't lie to you, Johnny. I'm not a well man.
Do you need medical assistance, Clarence?
No thanks. But I'll be glad to talk with you during daylight hours for once.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Can you help me?
Infection is everywhere these days. But if you ever go to the park near that swanky house belonging to the Mullaneys...
Yes? What about the Mullaneys? What about their house?
Not enough noise for a big family with children. Not enough movement. Closed doors. What is going on in there? I wonder.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep. Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
I have found out what happened to your friend, Emily.
I can handle the truth. There's no need to hide the bloody details.
Your friend was planning to become a vampire. She thought she'd met an honest one and made a deal with him. Unfortunately, Emily did not survive the process.
My mother told me many times about the risks of being turned. I often suspected she exaggerated the danger to avoid me being tempted.
No, the risk is real. Have you any idea what a body has to endure? To become an organism entirely consumed by its need to process and recombine blood.
I should never have talked to Emily about vampires. I never thought she'd actually try it without me. Thank you, sir. Here, take this for your discretion.
Oh, nette Waffe.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
Jetzt wird wieder das erwähnt. Also bin ich mal gespannt, was da ist. Ich denke mal, da werden wir auf jeden Fall kämpfen müssen. Was ist denn das? Was hat es uns denn jetzt hier gegeben? Charlottes Flock. Braucht sogar weniger Ausdauer. Unserer ist leider besser. Leider von den Sachen her. So, wen haben wir denn noch, den wir fragen können? Den Typen da drin. Ich würde ganz gerne nochmal mit Swansea sprechen vorher.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
Not really. Wait, now that you mention it, I don't see the McPhersons in my favorite restaurants. They love delicate meals too, you understand.
Thank you. It may be nothing, but I'll investigate anyway. Where do they live?
They have a house in the southern part of the district, somewhere north of the railway bridge. There is a courtyard, if I remember rightly.
Goodbye, Mr. Russell. I'm sure you'll take care of yourself.
Ich glaube, mehr Infos bekommen wir gar nicht. Also wir müssen zum ersten, zum zweiten, was haben wir hier? Das sind halt zwei Sachen, aber wie gesagt, ich würde ganz gerne mit Swansea nochmal sprechen. Wir haben, glaube ich, einen kurzen Weg, den wir nehmen können. Genau, komplett geradeaus. Ich würde mich interessieren, was er jetzt gerade zu sagen hat. Dann gehen wir hierhin wieder zurück. Ich finde das doof, dass man keine Schnellreise hat. Wenn wir mit Swansea jetzt gesprochen haben, würde ich die Folge dann einmal cutten. Dann würde ich direkt eine neue aufnehmen. Damit wir dann direkt weitermachen. Ich glaube nicht, dass wir es heute durchkriegen, das Spiel. Und wir müssen ja noch ein paar Sachen auseinandernehmen. Oh, ich habe die beide gleichzeitig gekillt? Wie habe ich das denn gemacht? So, und jetzt? Darunter? Nicht darunter. Ich glaube geradeaus. Geradeaus und dann links. Ja, und jetzt gleich. Ne, warte mal. Doch links da runter. Und es fällt dann auch keinen auf, dass er plötzlich sich nicht mehr so schnell bewegt, ne? Immer interessant sowas. Und vor allem er ist immer noch hier. Nein, der ist gesund. Ist nicht hier noch irgendwas am Glitzern? Aber können wir noch mal unsere Waffe verbessern? Kann ich das noch mal irgendwo gucken? Aluminiumteil brauchen wir. Mal gucken, ob wir irgendwo welches bekommen.
Goody. Please show me. Of course. It never ceases to amaze me how Good evening.
Good evening, Doc. Wise choice.
Oh, Millen Schrotflinte kostet ja nochmal 280. Aber nichts dabei, was ich haben wollen würde. Das will er natürlich alles haben, das ist ja klar. Aber Schrot können wir auch verkaufen. Die will ich eigentlich nicht verkaufen. Ja, ich brauche irgendwas, was ich mit 2 Punkten verkaufen kann. Wie hat die denn? 296. Aber auch kein Geld mehr, ne? Ja, egal. Wir müssen mal so ein bisschen tüfteln. Und dann gucken wir mal. Kann ich da irgendwo reinspringen? Das kann ich nicht verbessern, weil ich die Sachen nicht habe. Der ist schon soweit verbessert. Und jetzt Charlottes Dolch kann ich auch nicht verbessern, weil ich die Sachen nicht habe. Ah cool, ich kann sogar die anderen Sachen nehmen. Machen wir das mal rein. Können wir nämlich Charlottes Flock nehmen. Das geht nicht, den kann ich aber herstellen. So, jetzt kann ich den nicht herstellen, weil Metall eines Abzugs fehlt. Wo ist die Schrotflinte von ihm? Kann ich da auch noch was machen? Ja, Stufe 3. Ich überlege gerade, das war Charlottes Vlog, ne? Oh, ich habe 5 von 6. Yeah, mehr Damage. Gut, das lassen wir mal so. Dann gehe ich mal eben mit dem Typen sprechen. Ich überlege gerade, lohnt sich das, schlafen zu gehen? Wir haben 2300, 2400 Punkte. Also wir würden sogar Level 24 werden, wobei ich eher gesagt... wir setzen das mal zurück. Was ist die... Kann ich jetzt alles zurücksetzen? Wow, wir können komplett neu skillen. Glaube ich. Ja, wir können einmal komplett neu skillen. Benötigt Stufe 8. Okay. Gesundheit nehmen wir auf jeden Fall wieder komplett mit. Benötigt Stufe 6. Okay, kann ich auch nicht machen. Blutaufnahme machen wir auch mal her. Ausdauer skillen wir auch auf jeden Fall. Nein, einmal Ausdauer. Benötige auch Stufe 8. Dann nehmen wir auf jeden Fall wieder... Die beiden lasse ich auf jeden Fall weg. Die haben mir nicht ganz so gut gefallen. Blutbarriere auf jeden Fall mit. Die war sehr schön. Da brauchen wir Stufe 12 für... Blaue würde ich sogar mitnehmen. Wir sind jetzt Level 11. Lass mich gucken. Blutkessel. War 30 Schaden. Schattenschleier und Sprung fand ich jetzt nicht so schön, aber die Fähigkeit war auch nicht schlecht. So, jetzt sind wir schon mal 12. Die Gesundheit will ich auf jeden Fall wieder hochpushen bis zum Maximum. Weil wir brauchen sehr viel Leben. Stufe 16. So, dann Biss mit reinnehmen. Achso, Ultimative müssen wir gleich auch noch mitnehmen. So, was nehmen wir denn diesmal? Abgrund? Okay, das ist jetzt nicht so schön. Blutkessel. Das ist das, was der eine gemacht hat. Ich nehme mal das mit. Ausdauer brauchen wir auch jede Menge. Also müssten eigentlich so bis 24 kommen circa. Passt nicht. Passt nicht. Das Schild. Kosten keine. Abklingzeit 30. Kosten 25. Kostet mich auch 2000. Der kostet mich 3000 sogar. 2000. 600. Patronen würde ich jetzt nicht mitnehmen, aber ich würde hier das Serre auf jeden Fall mitnehmen, dass wir noch ein bisschen was haben zum Heilen. Ja, ich glaube, das reicht sogar gar nicht. Ja, das sollte passen. Was haben wir hier? Stufe 3. Ja, das sollte eigentlich gehen. Haben wir mal umgeskillt. Also dann sprechen wir noch mit 20 eben und dann machen wir eine neue Folge. Oh, das sind aber... Uiuiuiuiui. Sind aber viele krank geworden. Muss ich schon mal einen Zettel holen. Oder ich mache das anders. Ich mache jetzt den Cut und mache dann gleich die neue Aufnahme.